Hello, everyone. Can you see us? Awesome. So hello, everyone. I'm back. My name is Paul from SEM Rush, and I just want to welcome everyone back to the Advanced SEO Summit. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. You probably saw him on some of the SEM Rush webinars. You heard him on the sessions in the past. He speaks at some of the top universities and conferences, including the Growth Marketing Conference that's coming up here in May, on May 3rd and 4th in New York City. He's managed thousands of marketing campaigns across countless companies, and he helped take tens, I don't know how many companies you helped take. How many campaigns did you run, Clayton? Do you have like a number? It's
at least 1,000. I've just been working hard a lot and have been fortunate enough to be on a couple of really interesting projects. So thank you for having me, Paul. I love your tool. I'm about to promote it, but not because we're affiliated, just because I love it. And awesome. It's going to be great. So thanks. They love your hair, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. So without any further delay, Clayton is here. He's going to be doing an amazing presentation for us. He's going to be showing us how you can double your traffic with SEO in 3 months. So guys, just a reminder, I'm looking through all your questions. Feel free to just ask questions in the chat. And then at the end, I'm going to fire away and ask Clayton all your questions. So without any further delay, Clayton, I think you're on. Do you have a slide deck or anything?
Yeah, I got a slide deck ready. I'll bring it on in a couple of minutes.
Awesome.
But first, I want to ask the audience, how many were here for Tyler's session the other day at the beginning where he played the pump up music? It was awesome. Unfortunately, I don't have any music, but I wanted to let you know that some aspects of SEO can be exciting. I'm going to go through a bunch of stuff with you. So we've got about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. And then I love the positivity. Let's everybody keep it positive. Ask the questions in the Q&A section below. And I'm not just going to go through a deck. I'm going to actually get into some of the things that I see missed so many times on SEO campaigns. So let's get started. I will just share my screen here somehow, and then we can do this thing. Okay, and there we go. Let me know if you can see that, and I'll get started.
Awesome. I'm just going to take myself off screen right now.
Okay, let's do it.
For some reason, it's not taking me off.
Bear with us, guys. There we go.
And you're on full screen right now, and that's it.
Okay, great. So here's what we're going to talk about today. Doubling your traffic or rankings in 3 months. So this is a sort of careful, and I realize it's a controversial topic. Everybody understands that SEO is very momentum driven. Sometimes it's long-winded, and it takes a while to do. So the things that I'm going to show you cover both basic, intermediate, and advanced things that I've noticed. But before I get started, I'll just tell you a little bit about me. I've done SEO for about 8 years. I was lucky enough to co-found and grow 2 agencies, Endless Rise in 2011 and SEO Reseller in 2014. We grew both of these agencies to over 200 employees separately. And I've managed in the course of that time about 1,000 projects, maybe more, and have driven a lot of keywords through traffic, through SEO. I love hacking stuff, so I do a bunch of experiments. This is sort of the affinity that I have with Neil and his summit, because it's all about experiments. And let's see, Paul, I can still sort of hear your mic, so let's make sure that you're muted there. What we're going to talk about today is a road to doubling traffic in 90 days. So if you follow these exact steps, you should be able to get better rankings, better traffic in 90 days, and it's certainly possible to double it, all right? But before we get started, I'm going to be switching through a couple of different areas to sort of show you what I use and what I've seen people miss a bunch of times. And the starting line is obviously the rankings. So if you want to get started, you definitely have to know how to bookmark and baseline your rankings. All of that comes with keyword research and a bunch of other methods to choose the correct keywords. But let's assume that you've got the keywords that you want to use. How do you baseline those? Where am I going to start and try and benchmark for the 3 months to do the rankings and see if they're doubled? I use SEMrush. It's a quick, simple, easy way to look at rankings. And I'll just take you into the SEMrush dashboard here. If you take a look at their homepage, and I'm logged in with a Guru account, which I very much recommend getting. Basically, what we're going to do is just look for the organic keyword rankings. That's right down here. And there's a bunch of other statistics and analysis that I'd love to explain, but that's a topic for another time. To benchmark your rankings, we want to focus right here on the top organic keyword. So you just click the View Full Report button, and it will actually take you to all of the keywords that your website is ranking for. Now, why that's interesting is inside of this list, if you've been doing SEO for a while, or if you've had the site up for a while, you can probably see that there are keywords that you want to focus on inside of this list in SEMrush. So what you're going to do once this page loads, you want to take this entire list, and if you scroll down to where the table is starting, you can see that you've got a bunch of different keywords that you may or may not be ranking for. Over in this column is the keyword. The second column is the position. That's 1 through 10. And hang on one second. 1 through 10 is the first page. 11 through 20 is the second page. And then you've got the volume. And you've got the URL that it's ranking for. This is sort of where you want to focus the beginning of your attention. Now, what you want to do is on the day that you start this journey, just export that to a spreadsheet and keep it in Google Docs or something like that. And then you've got your baseline rankings. Let me just get rid of this Skype so it will stop popping. That's our admin group chat that we've got going on in the background for hosting this thing. A lot of interesting activity going on in that Skype chat. Okay, but baselining the rankings, you go down here, stick these on a spreadsheet somewhere, and then remove the ones that are irrelevant. So this one that I'm looking at is for anymeeting.com. It's a webinar platform. LinkedIn, Central Time Zone, Peg Writing, tons of these are irrelevant. What you're looking for is collecting 50 to 100, or depending on how big your website is, relevant keywords. And once you've got those relevant keywords, you stick them on a spreadsheet, and that's where you baseline. Okay, everybody clear on how to baseline your keywords. You might get, you might use other softwares to baseline your keywords. I know a bunch of the people in the presentation and in the summit are advanced and intermediate. So let's just move that one out of the way for baselining your keywords. All right, so here's the 5 hacks that I see missed so many times after doing 1,000 projects, probably more. All right, hack number 1 is you're not following Google's mantra, and it's hurting your traffic. Who wants to guess what Google's mantra is? Anybody in the audience? Let's hear it. I'd love to hear what everybody thinks that Google's mantra is. I'm not going to see the chat because I'm on a different tab, but go ahead and talk amongst yourself. Let's hear it. What do you think Google's mantra is that you're not following? So while you're typing that in there, I'll give you an indication of what Google's mantra is. And if you do it right here, SEO website, let's search for that. Just search for any term in Google, and you can see that they will tell you what their mantra is right here on this homepage, regardless of what search term you look for. The mantra is this, all right? So one of the things that hasn't changed almost since the beginning, if I understand it correctly, is this. Right here where it says about 66 million results in 0.81 seconds. The question is, why does Google, with all of its simplistic user interface, why do they feel the need to keep this in there? One of the reasons is because Google wants to show you how fast they are. Speed is such a massive mantra to Google that they, in all of their thousands of employees and I'm sure UX and UI reviews, have decided to keep showing us every time how fast their search result is and how many results it got us. Now, if that's not an indication that speed is one of the major factors in rankings, then I don't know what is. There's also numerous data and research that's been put out on the web in SEO that talks about the speed of your website and how it affects your Google rankings. So this is hack number one. That's the mantra that you're missing. Be fast. And I see it over and over and over again. All right, now we've got a live sort of demo that I'd love for everybody to open up a different tab. Yes, I'm sending you away from the from the live stream, but open up a different tab, search for Google Page Speed Insights, and pop in your domain, okay? So this is a tool that you can check the site speed based on Google's tests. There's a bunch of other tools that are really good that give more detailed information. I'm using this one today because it's simple and it's pretty. So go ahead and go to here or to another tool and test your site speed. And the cool thing about the Google one is it actually gives a score on mobile and on desktop. Now, you've heard a bunch of other people talk about the importance of mobile and desktop, and I want to just show you that time and time again, no matter what, I have a new client that comes into the lead pipeline, I put his domain in here, and there's always things to be fixed in this. Now, Google categorizes them into a couple of different buckets. The red bucket right here is something that you should fix. And in this case, it's a landing page redirect. The yellow bucket is something that you should consider fixing. And what you'll notice is that you start to see the same sort of things in these different buckets. For the yellow bucket, I see browser caching a lot. I see image optimization a lot. I see JavaScript a lot. And basically what Google's trying to say to you is that these things are slowing down the amount of time it takes for a customer to load your browser or to load your website on their browser. And all of these things combined together affect your search results in a big way. So this is hack number one. If you've got a client or if you've started a new website, and I know it's a little bit out of the SEO realm, but it matters so much to lay a good foundation on all of these other tactics you're gonna do that you don't want to neglect this. SEO is sort of a momentum-driven service. It's like pushing a car. How many, by a show of hands or a show of thumbs up, how many people have tried to push a car? When did you ever, is anybody old enough to remember when cars broke down and you had to put it in neutral and push it? It's very hard to get going. But once you get it going, it's very hard to stop. Think of SEO with that analogy. And in addition to that, you got to make sure that everything is working properly. You could have one thing that's broken or one thing that you're not really optimized on, and it could be holding the rankings back. So these 5 hacks are what I want everybody to make sure that we cover, and then you can get good rankings. So how to fix this stuff, that's another story. But in general, you may need a webmaster, you might need to hire somebody, or if you've got somebody on your team to help you fix it, dig down into each of these things, optimize them, hire a web developer from Freelancer or Upwork or somebody that you know or somebody in your company, and get these items fixed. Now, I've got a chart here that sort of dictates. I did a test with a huge amount of clients. I think it was 60 or 70 years ago that show how page speed affects 2 of Google's search ranking signals. So search results for the resources have longer load times and can be demoted, and that's straight from Google. Now, you might be asking how much of a score of 100, but 90% and up is great. Those items for somebody that has a 90% and up might be things like compression, responsiveness, page rendering. 85% and up is also a good score. 80% is a good score. It could be better, but I would certainly be happy with an 80% score. And then 75 or below is something that you really want to make sure that is corrected and fixed. By the way, I'm going to give the deck on the last slide of this presentation. I'll give you a link to where you can just download this deck, because we do get into some important details here. So that's hack number one. You're not following Google's mantra, and it's hurting your traffic and hurting your rankings. Make sure that that you've got the speed up as high as you possibly can. Hack number two is Google's secret weapon, Google's secret communication portal that they reward you for using. Okay, so it's another sort of guessing game. To all the intermediate and advanced SEOs, I'd love to hear what you think Google's secret portal is. Where is Google's secret portal inside of any of their tools? All right, so here it is. It's Google Webmaster Tools, now renamed as Google Search Console. And Search Console is actually one of the only places that Google can actually tell you if your site is doing good, if your site is penalized. They have a messages portion there that you can, I'll show you where to locate it, that you should be going to check constantly. All right, and this slide is one of the most popular because it shows effectively how important all of the areas inside of Google Webmaster Tools are. So errors, sitemaps, highlighter, and site links. These are all areas that you've got to have running smoothly, make sure that there's no errors, and have optimized, okay? So site links take up more real estate. Data highlighter helps the page loads faster with schema. The sitemap encourages Google to index your website, and the errors are just something that you want to check constantly, okay? Clients have seen a 50% increase in rankings from correcting these errors. So here's what you should do. If you don't have Google Webmaster Tools loaded on your site, search in Google, find out how to get it loaded on your site, and here's what it looks like. So we're going to take a look at the dashboard for Search Console, and I'll just sort of go over briefly some of the most important areas, all the ones on that slide that everybody should have optimized. So there's a lot of different technical things in here. Don't be scared of the technical stuff. Embrace it. Try and learn about it. But there are a couple of areas that you need to highlight that you should be visiting these frequently, okay? That secret communication portal that I was telling you about is right here, messages. If Google has penalized your website, or if there's something that they need to tell you that's critically important as a webmaster, this is where it will be. Luckily for this site, there's no messages. But this is, if you remember a couple of years ago, where a lot of people got penalized, and where a lot of people were sort of getting the message that their websites were penalized for bad links or spammy content, stuff like that, okay? So you always want to be checking that. Search appearance is a great drop-down menu where you've got the opportunity to optimize this thing. You want to have structured data on your website, and you probably have the opportunity to already. If you've been to the other sessions in this summit, you've heard people talk about schema code and different types of markups. You can do markups with breadcrumbs or personalities or products or movie times or recipes, or in the most common way, blogs, all right? And if you've got a blog on your website, if you've got any of the things that qualify to be marked up with schema, please put it on your website. It encourages Google to crawl your web pages faster, and it also it generally promotes a better relationship with Google. One of the easiest ways to do that is right here in Data Highlighter. So Google's created this really easy way to highlight different types of data on your website and classify it as a marked up page. And in this case, you can see for this website, we did 17 pages plus on January 25th. We classified these as articles, And if you hit this button right here inside of your Google Webmaster Tools, it will actually ask you to put in a domain, which I'm not going to do right now because we already did it. But it's real simple. Just pop in a domain, choose the type of data that you want to highlight, and then it will actually take you to a rendering of that page where you can click the different attributes of it and start to highlight it. All right. What Google's doing is trying to learn what types of pages that you've got on your website. Okay, another great area that we're going to come back to a little bit is links to your site. This is where you can get all of the backlinks to your site. You can also get this data from tools like SEMrush or Ahrefs or something like that. This one is interesting because it's collecting all of the links, and it's Google's data. So people sort of see this as you know, the base for the database. And then with the crawl errors, we talked about those being so important earlier. This is where you can access all of the crawl errors if there are any. You can look at crawl stats. You can look to see how Google renders your website and click Fetch as Google. If you've got a new page that you want to see how it looks in Google, you can do that here. If you were here for Tyler's conversation yesterday morning, he went really in depth about manipulating the crawl bots. This is where you can sort of see a very brief, easy to look at visually overview of where Google has crawled your site and if there are any errors. This is something that you want to check all the time. Time and time again, a client will come to me and I'll just ask them to add me in their Google Webmaster Tools, and they'll add me, and I'll go in here and look, and sure enough, there's a bunch of errors. Now, this stuff certainly can't be good for your SEO. So it's one of the first things that I do on a project is go and try and check everything here. And you just want to get into it. And sometimes it can be, you know, a little long. It can be a little arduous. But you want to make sure that you've got everything in here working properly. None of this stuff is so technical that you can't find the answer on the internet. But I just want to reiterate how important optimizing Google Search Console is. You also need to have a sitemap. As I'm sure you all know, if you're a beginner and don't know that, you do want to have a .xml sitemap so that Google knows here's where all of your pages are. Basically, in general, we look at SEO like a relationship with Google. Any opportunity that we have to communicate a more effective website or a more complete website or a more focused website, we want to do that. I feel like Google Search Console is a great resource to do that in. And then you've got some other areas down here, security issues. Go ahead and get curious, take a look in all of these different areas and optimize them. And if you have any questions, let me know, or just look on the internet. There's tons of stuff out there that will help you optimize Google Search Console. And again, over 75% of my customers weren't using Search Console, and that is no good. All right, hack number 3 as we move on. By the way, if you've got any questions about any of this specific stuff or situational questions, I love those kinds of things. As you can see, I'm not too big on presentations. I really like getting into the tool or the actual numbers because I know that's interesting to you guys. Ask the questions in the Q&A section below. The chat is moving really fast, so Paul probably won't be able to get your question if it's in the chat, and I'll take a look at it at the end. Okay, hack number 3, steal your traffic from the major competitor in your space. Now, this title of this hack is a little controversial. You're not actually stealing traffic from them. Well, no, you are stealing traffic from them, but I want to show you how because it's an ethical sort of steal. Obviously, the way to do that is by outranking them. And the coolest way to do that is starting in SEMrush. Now, if you're going to steal traffic from your competition because you're ranking higher than them, what's the best way to do that? What's the quickest sort of way to get backlinks in a, let's say, a competitive niche from your major competitor? Well, what I've found after years of experience is that the quickest way for me to secure backlinks is to go and pick what the biggest competitor is in your industry and download his backlink portfolio, take out all of the stuff that isn't relevant for you, and then approach those different websites that are linking to him. So you've actually got a roadmap of good backlinks already on the web somewhere. So all of the folks that are doing all the search parameters in Google to try and find guest posting and all of that stuff, that's great. But you want to make sure that first you've got all of the backlinks that at least your competitors have. Now, there's a couple of caveats. If you're an e-commerce store, you don't want to download the entire backlink portfolio of Amazon.com because it's going to be, 100 million backlinks, and you'll never be able to sort through those. So the disclaimer is for people in medium to large size industries, choose the competitor that is a couple of levels above you. And I'm sure you know who that is. Everybody that I talk to always knows who their competitor is. You know him from the search results. He's beating you at the top of the search results for this keyword or that keyword, and he just seems to be everywhere. And you probably don't think that he should be everywhere because his website sucks or something like that. Look at that guy's backlink portfolio and take a look at all the websites that are linking to him and see if there's an opportunity there. Now, here's how to do it. With SEMrush, it's really easy. Let's say it's anymeeting.com in this case. Just pop the URL of your next biggest competitor. And you can do this for multiple competitors. Come over here to the backlinks section on the left side. And then it's actually got an analytics page of all of the backlinks and what they mean, and are they followed, and are they from different IPs, and are they toxic, and are they trustworthy, and all of this cool stuff that you can get into in a very in-depth sort of workshop, or just with spending time with SEMrush. But for now, click over to the backlinks tab, and what I typically do is just download these. Download them to a spreadsheet right here, and then when you download them to a spreadsheet, I've already done it, so it will look something like this. And what you can see is, oh, that's not the backlinks, those are the keywords. Backlinks, what you can see is there's a ton of different ways that you can filter this stuff. Okay, so you can see here on the bottom, I've got different competitors' backlinks, okay? And what you want to do is, what I typically do, and you can have this sheet as a template if you want, but on the first tab, I'll put compiled link opportunities. On some of the other sheets, I'll pick 4 or 5 different competitors and download their backlinks and then sort them by the page score or the trust score and look at each one of them that are good and say, okay, what is this Go Media right here? And why is my competitor linked to it? Click on this thing. It might be like a list where they got mentioned that they're the best company in the industry. It might be a feature. It might be a paid piece. I have no idea. But if you look through these, you're going to find a bunch of great ways to get backlinks, great locations to get backlinks. Now, you want to make sure and take off the riffraff. So sort it by trust score and make sure that the ones that are just terrible looking are gone. And there's again, it's another session to talk about how to judge whether a link is good or not. We're going to leave that for now. But you want to make sure that you're only contacting and reaching out to the great backlinks that your competitors have. All right. So if Google ranks the websites that have the best content, the best backlinks, and the best on page, then you're trying to be better than them. If you're trying to be better than them, you at least need to try and get links from where they've gotten links. All right. So start out with this strategy. It's a really great way for beginners to get started. And here's just a quick way that you can sort of see how we want to structure backlinks. And this is important too. And the disclaimer on this slide is that it's a really rudimentary slide. But you want to make sure, and the point I'm trying to make here is when you're acquiring all of these backlinks, you want to space them out. You don't want 3,000 different backlinks only pointing to you and nowhere else in the article. So you want to do what we call tiers. Like tier 1 backlinks will go directly to the website. Tier 2 backlinks might go to the website, but they also might go to a Tier 1 piece. You want to sort of make your backlink portfolio organic looking, okay? So the hack here is the source of the TLD the inbound link is coming from. It should be the same as your competitor and more quantity. So you need as much and then better link building portfolio than they have. And the anchor text must be diversified and synthesized randomly to cover a family of related phrases. You don't want to have a bunch of anchor texts that are exactly the same. Studies have shown that when you do, it sort of gets messy because Google's saying, okay, that's a little bit too obvious because all of your backlinks say one specific phrase around them. So make sure that you diversify, okay? So that's hack number 3. And again, each one of these could be a specific webinar or a specific workshop, but this is a good roadmap to sort of take you through for 90 days. Hack number 4, a rising keyword tide raises all ships. The keyword roadmap is already there. There's a lot of not controversy, but there's a lot of discussion around how do I choose good keywords, what keyword tool is good, what works, what's not working. And I'm here to tell you that you can waste a lot of money fooling around, working on SEO topics that don't matter, that are never going to make you any money. So there's a keyword roadmap and it's already there, and I'm going to show you where it is. The keyword roadmap is right inside of your search console. So if you've done, if the website has been online for any amount of time, then you've probably got some search traffic too already. Let's assume that you do. What you want to do is go take a look at search traffic and then search analytics. And when this page loads, there's different views here, but I usually click clicks, impressions, CTR. You can click position as well, which looks good. But basically what we're looking for is a list of keywords, all right? Now this is actually a matchmaker website. So you've got the name of the person that this website is for, the name of the brand, different cities, all of these different things sorted by the number of clicks, the number of impressions. Now, what we're looking for here are golden opportunities. Now, just because these are listed here doesn't mean that they're golden opportunities, like her name. She's probably going to rank for her name anyways because it's listed all over the place. What we're looking for here are opportunities where there's a ton of there's not many impressions. So what I typically do is go down to the bottom, sort it by impressions, and then go and look towards the bottom on impressions that are pretty low. This indicates that that Google isn't showing the website very much for these keywords, but it's showing it some. What this means is, with a little effort, a little content, a little bit of backlinks, you will probably be able to raise these keywords in ranking. So what I typically do is go and look for keywords that are very low, maybe 50, 40, 30, different variations of this. Dating service, Dallas, Texas. I know she's got a Dallas page. Why haven't we optimized for this keyword and raised it? She's getting shown 62 times. She's getting 0 clicks. So what you want to do is set a mark, let's say below 60 or below 30 or below 100. You'll know based on how much traffic your website is getting. It differs from person to person. And export these keywords and pick ones that have low impressions and no traffic. And what you want to do is use these in your content strategy. Use these in your metadata on the page. Use these in your blog strategy. Use these in your anchor text when you do the link building services. And what you'll see is, if you work this like a list on ones that you've chosen, what you'll see is that these keywords will start getting traffic and they'll start raising in rank pretty darn quickly. It's not too terribly difficult. So here's the slide that covers the important things to note about what I just covered, okay? So the reason that it's called a rising tide raises all ships, or keywords, is because if you've got keywords that are similar in nature, like best organic SEO service, best software, or SEO competitive tracking, similar keywords, and you work on one of them, because of semantic search, a lot of these keywords will all raise in rank. And what we found is that the determining factor and the importance of this stuff involves anchor text, consistency, indexing, and the Ahref, the actual way that it was followed or no followed, okay? So create a keyword calendar that you use for blogging on your site, and use it 2, 3, 4, 5 keywords per blog, okay? Depending on how long form the content is, and depending on how related the keywords are, there's a bunch of tools that allow you to test keyword density. So make sure that you've got all of that intact. Again, this is a guideline, so make sure that you do the due diligence to execute these steps properly. And number 5 is scaling the unscalable. One of the hardest things to do in SEO is scale. You've got a link builder that outreaches, a content writer, a strategist, and all of these people. When I started in search engine optimization in 2007, we started with 4 or 5 people, and had a couple of clients that we grew to, a little bit bigger. And what we started to do was we had to divide people into teams. So we had a team of writers, we had a team of link builders, a team of on-page specialists, a team of content strategists, or a team of overall strategists, and then a management structure on top of that. The most experience that I've ever gotten in running those 2 companies was actually in organizational structure, because we tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed. And I don't know what sort of size you guys are at in your agency, or if you're working for a brand, and what size your team is. But I want to try and give you some insight on scaling, because it's difficult. The best way that you can scale as a solopreneur or as a small agency would be leverage different people, okay? So I've found a lot of great people on Upwork, a lot of great people on Freelancer, a lot of great people that might not want to work full-time, but have the experience and the know-how to help you with a lot of these tasks. So I'm a huge fan and advocate of leveraging different freelancers wherever you can. The other thing that I'm a huge advocate for is using software tools. So I'd love to have a little bit of a conversation about software with you guys. Let's hear what your favorite software is for SEO. And there's a million of them. You've got your softwares for organization and projects like Basecamp and Jira and Asana. And then you've got projects or softwares for things like SEO tracking, like SEMrush or Ahrefs. And then you've got link building softwares like PressRush, or PressRush is a good one to find journalists that you can reach out to. You've got some email softwares that are in there, like Yet Another Mail Merge, that people use to reach out to. So the hack number 5 starts and stops with an intern or a VA or a combination of tools, and getting the linkable content in the right hands. You've got to be able to reach out on a massive scale, but still make it as personalized as need be. You're not going to get any content out there by spamming the shit out of everybody, but you can kind of automate the process with people with the right software tools. So the deal is to use the customer personas on the potential linking assets. Make sure that you've got somebody that is a great writer. Obviously, you can't talk enough about that. And then make sure that you can scale at a level that is actually effective for your clients. That's the last slide. And if you want to get this deck, you can access it here. I uploaded it on a viewer so that you can access it on the web, and I think I enabled the download link. So if you want to go through that deck for how to double your traffic in 90 days or how to double your rankings, we've done this many times with some agencies and some crowds around the world. and it's worked. It especially works great for small or medium-sized websites. You know, this would be a difficult thing to do for a company like Amazon, so it's not applicable here. But for most smaller brands, this is a great way to get started. So if you're a beginner, I encourage you, there's no pitch, download the deck, and if you have any questions, let me know. If someone could put that DocSend link in the chat so that everybody doesn't have to transcribe it, that would be great. I know that people like Daryl and Michael in the chat are happy to do that. And with that, I'll just open it to some questions. Paul, if anybody's got a question, I'm happy to answer it, man.
Awesome. All right, so we do have a lot of questions, Clayton. And the first one is from Cindy. And Cindy has a little dilemma, Clayton. Let's see if you can help her out. So okay. Cindy worked really hard, and she had this keyword, sterling silver jewelry, that appeared on page 6 last fall. And all of a sudden, one day, it went poof, and now she's nowhere to be found. So she just wants to know, what should she look into? How would she audit her site? How would she fix her problem? Can you give her any insight? She needs some help, Clayton. Let's try to help her out.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm having to refresh my page, so you guys bear with me. My Chrome pooped out, but I'll be right back.
Cindy needs you, Clayton.
Cindy needs me. Just wait one. Actually, let's just answer.
All right, everyone, just bear with me. Clayton has some connection issues. Cindy, are you in the chat? Hopefully, we'll be able to get your question answered shortly. Let's see if Sydney's in the chat. Clayton's here.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, let's get my camera on. All right, excellent. Awesome. Thanks for hanging around. Okay, tell me what's wrong, Cindy. I'm sorry, I didn't get it the first time.
Okay, so here's Cindy's problem. Last fall, Cindy did some SEO on her site, and she ranked for sterling silver jewelry on page 6. And all of a sudden, one day, poof, she's nowhere to be found. So she wants to know, what should she look into? What would you recommend that she does to at least find the problem so she can get back? Because she's losing sales, Clayton.
That's the worst thing in the world. First of all, don't panic, Cindy. Relax. Everything is cool. Typically, and I've had a lot of people ask me this, typically this coordinates with some sort of update that Google did. So inside of SEMrush, the first thing that I would do is look at your rankings for that keyword. They give a graph. And what's cool about SEMrush is they will actually...
Clayton is reconnecting. Everyone just stand by. We have some connection issues. Hold on. We have a little side chat here, so I'm just going to make sure that Clayton is up. 1 second, everyone. Connection issues. Clayton is down. Clayton's coming right back. Sorry, everyone, about that. And Cindy, are you still there? Let's see, where's Sydney? We can't put me back on. All right, Clayton, I'm putting you back on right here. Invite on screen.
Okay.
You back?
Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. My connection is strong. I got a strong connection. I was trying to tell Cindy to check. It's probably in coordination with an algorithm update. And if it is, you're going to have to dig deep into what the people that are ranked above you are doing that you're not. It might be content. It might be links to the page. You need to check in Google Console, to see Search Console, to make sure that you're not penalized for anything. SEMrush is the tool that I would mostly navigate this problem with, though. All right, who's next?
Awesome. The next one, Kevin. So here's Kevin's question. Kevin has 5 long-tail keywords. He did his keyword research. He picked them out, and they're very low volume. So each keyword is receiving approximately 300 searches a month. So this is his question. Should he write one giant article of 2,500 words targeting all of those keywords? Or should he write separate articles for each individual keyword? what would you recommend that he does?
It really depends on if those keywords are related. If they're not related, if they're different topics, then write different articles about them. If they are related, 5 keywords is a lot to be related. I guess they might be different variations of something, but in general, you're going to need to write a bunch of content. So if they're not related, try separate articles first, see how it goes.
Awesome. So here's another question. We have a user here and he has top-level domains. So he has like .guru, .estate, he lists a bunch of them. When you want to see one, hold on. If so, why do we not see many of these at the top in Google? Okay, this question is not really clear. Sorry about that, Clayton. He wants to know, the basis of the question is, which TLD should he choose? Is there any preferred one? I know we love .coms, but does it matter for SEO?
No, it doesn't. Think about who Google is and what they can index. If Google put some sort of preference, or .com over .co.uk or over another one, that wouldn't really make sense for their guidelines. So it doesn't matter what it's on. What matters is the content on it. Hope that helps.
Yeah, great answer. All right, here's another question regarding different channels. So you talked about on-page SEO, off-page SEO, but what about paid? What are your thoughts about Facebook advertising, Twitter advertising, LinkedIn advertising for your blog? Is it something that is required for this user to do? Is it a big benefit? What's your thoughts?
There's a really good I'm going to not answer and point you to a resource. Neil actually just wrote a blog about why he pays almost $10,000 a month for Facebook likes. And it breaks down specifically how much traffic he gets and whether or not that turns into, conversions. They all have their place, obviously. I've heard probably the same as you, the pros and cons of everything. LinkedIn's too expensive. Facebook only works for certain industries. I would go to neilpatel.com, read that long form blog that he wrote. Actually, I don't think it's on neilpatel.com. I think it was published in Forbes or something, but it's something like, I spend $9,000 on blogs on Facebook likes every month. Find that blog and read it. That's the best resource for it.
Awesome. So here's a user. They've been ranking really well for super long tail keywords, but they want to graduate, Clayton. They want to go for those more broad, generic keywords. Do you have any advice for them?
Graduate and go broader.
Broader. So they have really long tail keywords, not that much volume.
Got it.
They're on that transactional keyword scale.
Absolutely. So if the keyword funnel is research at the top and transactional at the bottom, and you want to go to one level up, I would suggest doing 2 things. Look in your search console to see what more short tail keywords you're ranking or you're getting impressions for, and take those from there. What you want to do is put them on a spreadsheet, divide them into categories. So if you're a shoe website and you've got heels and all the keywords that relate to heels, or flats and all the keywords that relate to flats, find those categories and stick to a spreadsheet that has those keywords and just start ranking for short. You want to be careful about metadata to the tail keyword, because it might get rid of the rankings that you currently have. But yeah, that's how I would do it. Maybe add new pages.
Awesome. So here's the top voted question. Clayton, you just disappeared again. 1 second. Oh, you're here. You're still here. So Lisa has a question, Clayton, and she has a brand new website. You here with us?
Yeah.
All right. She has a brand new website, and she wants to know if you can make any suggestions for maybe some off-page SEO. What can she do to start ranking keywords, especially in local search? So she has a local business.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that you want to do if you're brand new and you don't have any data anywhere is go collect all of the big links that you can. Think about it. Open a LinkedIn page. Put your business on Google Maps. Put your business on Yahoo Maps. Open all of the directories that you possibly can get a decent link from and start there. Yeah, other than that, people have used like Chamber of Commerce participations, possibly getting published in local media if you're doing something that's exciting. So a lot of different ways, and I hope that helped.
Awesome. So here's the second top voted question, 13 votes. Diana wants to know, she wants to know about social media. How can you get traffic from social media?
Well, two ways to get traffic from social media. Either you can be an extremely beautiful person, which it looks like you are, good luck there, or you can pay for it. I mean, look, to be honest, jokes aside, social is something that's changing so quick and so fast. Facebook is really cracking down on the different types of link bait stuff. The best way that I've seen, the best social media person that I've seen are people like Neil, some of the other ones in the industry, Maria from California, I forget her name. Oh, Smith, Maria Smith, I think her name is. She's really good for social media. I like Facebook. You know, it's easy to put some money into some ads, drive some traffic, but I'll tell you what the biggest part of getting traffic from social is. It's the funnel that exists after they click through. Are you remarketing to them? Or is it an offer that they'll actually take? Is it too expensive? So concentrate on your funnel. And yeah, Mary Smith, that's awesome. And also Amy Porterfield is good. Concentrate on the funnel is so critical, and then you can probably learn how to attract traffic with not much money from Facebook or Twitter, whatever's appropriate for your business.
Awesome. We have some fellow entrepreneurs here. We have a person in the chat, and he's saying that, look, he's a one-man team and there's all of these different channels. So where would you recommend that he puts his focus and his effort? Is it link building? Is it guest posting on other channels, other websites? Help guide him, Clayton. What should he do?
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, I'm sure that you, me, and a bunch of other people have been in this situation. Joao, great question. I love it. One-man shows are, you know, equally tough and equally fulfilling. You don't have to wake up when somebody else tells you to, but then, you know, you still have to do all of the work. I would say try and offload the stuff that doesn't take your creative thinking. So when we were building Hyper Agency from 5 to 200 people, we went through 3 years of hyper growth. And when I was working with 5 or 6 people, it was very easy to assign this to him, assign this to them, and manage all of them because they were sitting right around me. But then it got bigger, and I had to ask myself, oh, what do I let go? I think I do link building better than the other person, so I don't want to let that go. And what you've got to remember is that your value, Joel, is the creative thinking and the strategy. So if you can offload and have someone do guest posting successfully and do link building successfully, I think you should put those off of your plate. The trick is to create a process that someone can follow, being reasonably smart, and execute it with your guidelines in place. So it's a lot of like preparing a process, checking in, creating weekly meetings to make sure that they're doing good, and just making sure that the whole ship is running like it needs to. Hope that helps.
Awesome. So here's Amy with a question. She says, look, Clayton, Google was supposed to be focusing on local, right? But clearly it's really difficult to rank small local businesses. And so she's listing national brands in her area like Zillow and Realtor. So can you help her? Can you give her some advice to rank her local real estate business?
I totally feel you, Amy. It was, I'm sure you know, a massive shakeup in the industry. There was tons of blogs where people were talking about, oh, Google's only, you know, ranking Amazon and Walmart and all of these huge big box stores that have millions of pages. And it has been a fight for the little guy. You know, we don't have, you and I both don't have huge websites that have, you know, tens of thousands of pages that can just sort of, you know, rank and no problem. So we've got to get scrappy with it. You got to get to where you can find keywords that maybe the big box isn't ranked for. Look for longer tail keywords. A lot of times you can conquer that mountain by not going right up the north face cliff, but sort of going around it and collecting traffic from longer tail keywords. I would also suggest trying to partner or guest blog on some of those big box stores. Find out if you can use some of their SEO to point towards your website. There's always something that you can do, and try and find hyper niches. If you're in a big metropolis, like I'm in San Francisco, and there's so many different neighborhoods here, that might be the way that that you get the traffic that you're looking for. Ahmed, thanks, man. Great comments, dude. I appreciate the positivity.
So here's another question about negative SEO. How do you stop negative SEO, Clayton? If your competitors could link to you in bad neighborhoods, what do you do?
What do you do? That's a great question. So negative SEO has been sort of controversial. Some people are saying, you know, it's over. Google sort of mitigates it or sees that it's all, you know, a bunch of links came to a website, 1,000 links came in 2 weeks. That's a little unbelievable, and they sort of demote those or don't count them into it. Biggest thing that you can do if you feel like links are holding you back is use that disavow tool. Now, disavow tool inside of Google Search Console, you want to use with caution. It's like operating heavy machinery. Don't just go flipping on the switch and pounding away. You've got to use it smart. So make sure that you do some research and read up on how to use the disavow tool and what links to put in it. But if you've got a clear, concise links that are coming from, you know, bad neighborhoods, then that disavow tool helps 90% of the time.
Awesome. So here's a question from Jeanette. She wants to know, how difficult should her keywords be? She's having a really difficult time determining which keywords to go after. Are they too broad? Are they too long tail? Can you help her out? Give her a criteria, Clayton.
Absolutely. The best thing that you can do is, have you heard of WordStream? A guy named Larry Kim has got an amazing methodology for coming up with good keywords, honing and doing your keyword research to come up with the ones that actually convert. The other thing I would recommend is pay very close attention to Google Analytics. There's a couple of views. Actually, I've got a really good dashboard for this. If you want, you can email me, clayton@neilpatel.com. I'm happy to share it with you. It's a dashboard for looking at where the people came from, where they landed on your site, and what their path through the website was. That really helps you understand if the keywords that you're choosing and ranking for are actually effective. This is such a huge missing piece of the puzzle for a lot of people. Don't bang your head against the wall. Let's hunker down, work together. You can fix it, but it might take a little bit of work.
Awesome. So that's all for the questions, Clayton. We're at 4 o'clock right now. So guys, just a little short, like 1 minute break, because right now we're having our next guest. We have Anward that's coming in. She's an O'Reilly author, and her presentation is, she's also a growth scientist, and her presentation is titled SEO in the Battlefield, How to Win It. So if you want to know what Google is doing next, so predicting where Google is going, then tune into her session. She's coming up next. Thank you, everyone. And I'm out. Clayton, thank you so much. And goodbye.
Bye. See you guys.
Bye.